we all want to make impact. We want to help teams get better. We want to help people love what they do, enjoy their work, to bring respectability to the technical practices that we represent and help. Almost nobody wants this job just because of the money, or at least that's the way it used to be. And then we saw some things change.
Hey everyone, I'm Dave, and I'm joined here today by Chris. So really excited to have him. He's the host of the Badass Agile podcast, and he's going to help us, our teams, our organization, with better ways of working.
Hello, Dave. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this one.
Hey, Chris, it's such an honor. Folks, if you haven't checked out the Badass Agile podcast, go to whatever podcast app you use right now, subscribe to it, listen to it. We're going to just give you a little bit of taste of what Chris talks about. So, Chris, what are some of the challenges that Agile practitioners are having today out there?
So I think probably the biggest one on everybody's mind has got to be the job market for Agile coaches and practitioners. Since I've been doing this job, probably, let's say around 2007 or 8 is probably around the time I got into it. So we're going on, 16, 17 years. Back in those days, it was, I hate to say it this way, it was a license to print money. There was good money in doing what we did. And we all really felt like we were making impacts. I was having this discussion with somebody yesterday. We all want to make impact. We want to help teams get better. We want to help people love what they do, enjoy their work, to bring respectability to the technical practices that we represent and help. Almost nobody wants this job just because of the money, or at least that's the way it used to be. And then we saw some things change. And I've been in the certification industry. Among my first jobs was working for Microsoft as a certified trainer. And what I remember about that is that the minute somebody hears that there's good money, like you can double or triple your income level if you just go get these certifications, it creates this like a cyclone effect in a way where people start flocking towards the certifications, and they get them and they get the raises. So more people start, once you get validation of the premise, you have more people looking for the certification. And then when that happens, you have a certain quality of person who is there for the money and only for the money. And they start demanding that the course be cheaper or easier to pass the exams. And so the market obliges because it sells more prep guides and it sells more courses. And now you have people who really haven't earned much flooding the marketplace. And whether they get the jobs or not, there is a race to the bottom on rates. So you have people coming in who will do it for $30 an hour, where you were used to 125 or 150. And that impacts our livelihood. And then, of course, the quality of the practitioner that shows up is highly variable, unproven. And what starts to happen is there's a lot of bad Agile being practiced. And it's conceivable then that we've burned a lot of trust with industry, in the sense that I'm not really sure we're adding a ton of value. And this is something that a lot of Agile people don't fully understand, because in the tech world, if you can develop, or if you have knowledge of, technology, let's say AI right now, you're valuable. And we're used to having a market value. When tech is new and people need help implementing it, we can usually charge a premium rate for what we do. We're used to that. But we rarely have to stop and question, how much value do we actually add to the business? Are we helping with the things that businesses care about? Whether that's revenue, whether that's market share, whether that's time to market, whether that is cost of acquiring a new customer. Those are the things that businesses measure. And I don't think we were ever very well versed in that. So a lot of times, even the best Agile practitioners are scratching their heads saying, where did it all go? What happened? So in addition to the oversaturation of the industry, there is another problem where people are saying, we've been spending $250 an hour for these people for a year, and we have 10 or 20 Agile coaches. That's not an insignificant number. That's millions of dollars a year just on Agile Scrum practitioners alone, never mind the teams that they lead. And all they seem to want to be measured in is, cumulative flow and team happiness.
Story points.
Story points, those kinds of things. And so if we're not really accountable for something that's bottom line impacting, something that really helps the business, at some point when they're charged with cutting costs, improving margin, improving earnings per share for the shareholders, they're going to look at where the money It's not wasted money, but where does it look like it's not really bringing any ROI? They're going to want X, 10X ROI. And so they see us there kind of in the expense column, and we're not really able to prove our value. Then it might be like, well, maybe we could do this internally, or maybe we could get, an AI agile coach. And there's people building those kinds of products out there. And so we see ourselves challenged with, is the gold rush over? Is this really still a time for agile and agile coaches?
There's a renewed focus these days in the various, LinkedIn, Reddit, etc., about outcomes. We need to drive the outcomes as agile practitioners, and that's where we share our value. What about leadership? So let's think about a C-level executive, and they see the impact an individual agile team, whether it be a Scrum team, a Kanban team, can make. And then they want to go all in, right? This agile thing is great. Let's make an entire department agile. Let's make an entire program agile. What about the challenges of getting leaders to understand how agile is different, but yet still show them that it's still results oriented?
I think that leaders need to be taught what the value of agility is. And I mean the real value of agility. So the first thing they need to be taught is that scaling is an issue. The more you force scaling on an organization, the more you'll dilute the value of agility, because there'll be areas where it will always be a terrible flop, and there will be areas where it makes perfect sense. So we know from the agile principles itself that it's well engineered and a perfect fit for initiatives with a lot of uncertainty, potential complexity, and not a lot of repeated process-oriented workflow. So it makes a less ideal candidate for, let's say, building a house, because you can't build one side of the foundation and then the second floor of the foundation and then move a bunch of people in and then work on the second floor in the attic. It doesn't work that way. You do all of the foundation, and so waterfall style, we move on to framing, and then we move on to siding and cladding and roofing and all that, and then insulation and then the interiors, and then when it's all done, you move in. So the value, you can't really realize the value of that house until it's pretty much all done. And so we need to educate agile leaders, meaning organizational leaders, where agile can benefit them inside the organization, which means there will be pockets of effectiveness that they should be looking to first, where they can capitalize on the offering of agility, because it does put stuff to market in, let's say, 3 months instead of 18. Perfect example. I was working with a company who was looking to better understand the benefits of everything they do. So how can we quantify what we invest in? Everyone knows how much something spends. You have a team of 8 people, they have a certain salary, they work for 18 months. You can say this is how much it costs to do X, whether that's a project or an initiative. But they have a harder time saying, what will that buy the company once it's invested? That'll increase revenue. Will it save us money on something? Will it make us more efficient? And so they're looking for ways to try to track the benefits of what they do. More specifically, let's predict them. Let's at least make a business case before we invest in it. And let's track as we're going. If it doesn't look like we're ever going to realize those benefits, we should kill this project. Why spend $3 million when we can stop spending at $800,000? And that's money back to the business. That's money that was signed and sealed and ready to be spent, that maybe we can reclaim and put it somewhere where there's a more clear case for the benefit. The sooner you do that, the faster something is in market. It's either earning the business money or hopefully it's saving the business money. Things like a compliance initiative, like a get out of jail kind of initiative, the benefits are not necessarily financial, except for the perceived risk. But there are easy ways to quantify the value of your investment, including anything that we do with Agile to bring home an MVP sooner. Whether that's being able to sell, for example, a course or a product to hungry customers who can't wait for your next release. Maybe that's a new shoe that you've invented. If Agile can help bring those things into market sooner, that money is worth more now than it is if we have to wait 2 years for it. So educating an executive on where Agile can actually deliver that value and what do they need to do to support the teams? Because what happens too often is executives know the word Agile, they've heard it everywhere, Their competitors are using it, so they say things like, we should be more agile. We know we should be more agile. We're not doing it, so let's be more agile. But they have no clue what that means. They don't understand that they have to change the way they think about delivery. We need more people who are comfortable leaping. We need more people who actually embrace failure, who test and endeavor and repeat that cycle until we find, a winning release or a winning idea or a winning product. And that appetite has to be there. We can't just say, whoa, this is expensive. Why don't we go back to the way we used to manage projects? Bring me a dashboard twice a week, Monday morning at 8 a.m. We can't manage like that anymore. We have to trust
Everything
our
is
team.
green until it's red, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is all great stuff. Can you tell us some about how you offer your help to Agilists? What are your products that can help them to, effectively communicate to leaders and other folks about the true value of Agile and how to make it successful in their organizations or in their product?
Sure. There's a couple of things that I do. And to be honest, I don't really do technical Agile anymore. I think that market's well taken care of. There are a lot of great people who not only understand scaled Agile and all the different scaling frameworks, but they also understand the mechanics of technical delivery. I'm not technical anymore. I was a developer. I was a network engineer. I love technology, but I don't really follow it in the same way. And my passion doesn't exist there. What I love doing is, in the way that we just discussed, is going to other areas of the business and saying, let's abstract agility to solving important problems. So those problems need not be technical. Those problems need not be answered by a product. But we go instead to, let's say, learning and development and say, where do things hurt? And if you ask that question, you'll see across the board that, for example, learning and development is almost always understaffed, under-resourced, underfunded, yet expected to help us meet the pace of market change, technology change especially, like that. So AI hits the scene. It's like, what do we got? Bring me some training. Buy me some training, do something. Well, we don't have time. We're working on initiative 1, 2, and 3 over here. Well, make time, find time. We got people that need to be educated. Come on, let's go. So can we help learning and development respond to that need more effectively using agile practices, whether it's Scrum, Lean, Kanban, or some combination? And the answer turns out to be yes, and better still, this is important, that whole area is underserviced right now. Nobody's paying attention to these folks. No one's giving them any love, and we should be. So it makes sense to me that if you have a saturated market, the best solution, if you want to have as an Agile coach or Scrum Master, if you want a lucrative career, if you want opportunities, you should go and look where nobody else is trying to squeeze through that same door. There's way more air over here. There's way more opportunity. And so whether it's human resources, human capital, learning and development, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's ops, there's so many cool places where we can take the concept of Agile feature delivery, which is what we're used to talking about, and instead solve problems using Agile. Can I get a course to market faster? Can I find a way to do more with less resources in a shorter amount of time? Those are good questions to answer when it comes to the overall business. So my products are focused on creating one of two things, usually a great leader. So if you lead an Agile team of any kind, I have a year-long immersion program called The Forge. The Forge came from my experience working with ex-Navy SEALs, trying to find out how do people of that caliber solve problems without fail where the stakes are always high and quitting and failure are never an option. How do they think and do differently? I want to learn that and bring that back to my Agile practice. So that's what I teach over the course of a year. And it's been highly effective in transforming people and what they're capable of doing in terms of that impact that we're all dying to make. How can I make my teams better? How can I make them more valuable? And how can I speak proudly as an Agilist so that when I knock on an executive door, I'm not afraid to tell them, hey, if you want to do Agile properly, this is what it looks like. And you need to help us with that commitment. You need to be co-conscripted. Having the courage to have those conversations, difficult conversations with team members, moving the needle with an executive team, those things require real guts, real grit. And the best Agile leaders are willing to do it. So that one program creates that kind of leadership by talking about vision, focus, resilience, and mastery. I have another product that will help people who want to become an entrepreneur, or better still, if you have an Agile product or service in you. Maybe you want to start your own consulting firm. Maybe you have your own framework, practice, methodology. Maybe you're a trainer and you want to teach people a different way of learning Agile outside of the certification standards of the certification industry. But how do you, as a person who's never learned how to brand yourself, how to market, how to sell, how to understand your customer, really pinpoint your ideal customer avatar and speak to their needs and create authentic connection with people so that you could have a business of your own, maybe a side hustle, maybe it's a full-time gig, maybe start your own company. But if you see opportunities in the Agile space starting to run out, starting to choke out, this might be a great time to think about doing your own thing. Bring in the skill that you work so hard to develop and put it out there in the industry as an alternative to what's already out there today. So that's called the Forge Genesis. It's brand new. We're recruiting for a cohort right now. It is also a year-long investment, but the idea is I'm going to give you everything that I used when I built my business, from my scripts to my AI prompts to my lessons learned, my techniques, and I'm going to just give them to you so that you can shortcut your way to bringing your own product to market. Whether it's an Agile product or whether it's a product that you want to build with agility, doesn't matter to me. If it's time for you to put out your own shingle and you want to figure out how to jump into the entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship space, then that course is for you. But I also have courses and coaching on storytelling and presentation skill, which are called Rivet the Room. I love teaching those things too, because I think we're all creators. At the end of the day, when we help our customers, we're offering a service. That service is a creation. We're dropping a pebble into the lake and creating waves. And when we do it well, I think we make the world of work better. And I think the world needs more of that right now. So that's the area that I play in these days rather than traditional Agile coaching or Scrum Master.
And that's why we call this channel Better Ways of Working. So glad you joined us today. How can folks get a hold of you and all this great stuff?
Easiest way is go to badassagile.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn too, because I do a lot of free stuff on LinkedIn. So the next one coming up in the last week of October will be about branding for Agile entrepreneurs. And I'm doing an hour just for free. So come in and get a taste of what I talk about. So check me out on LinkedIn. I'm badassagile.com/IN for IN, linkedin.com/in/badassagile host. Or you can reach out to contact@badassagile.com.
And I'll put that in the description. So folks, there you have it. Chris, thank you so much. Would love to have you back and talk some more. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for yours, Dave, and everyone out there. Thank you so much for listening today. It was great to meet all of you, and good luck with your practice. Keep fighting and never quit.
There you go. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.